Okay, good morning, and just something else to review here. Now these came from AliExpress, and what are they? Well, this says it's a LODINE tungsten lamp, and this says it's an LED iodine tungsten lamp. I'll be honest, wherever has iodine and tungsten ever had anything to do with LEDs, God only knows. But yeah, what we have here is we have a 50 watt one and a 100 watt one, and these are mains powered. These are, straight on 240 volts allegedly, no issues. You just plug them in and away you go. Let's have a look at this. 220 to 240 volt, high voltage, must be grounded. It's an aluminium frame, as you'll see when I turn it over. The free drive constant current technology integrated design. The design is simple, less electronic components are used to reduce the failure rate. Compact, portable, easy to install, more convenient to use and maintain. Good heat dissipation design, good waterproof performance, high efficiency and energy saving, light efficiency up to 80%. Matters needing attention. When using the lamp, surface will have a certain temperature rise. Belongs to the normal phenomenon. The shell temperature is higher, don't touch directly. The power supply must be disconnected before installation and maintenance of luminaries. Luminaires, sorry, not luminaries, luminaires. There is a high pressure, it must be grounded. Before use, the surface protective film must be torn off. Application range, the construction site, indoor and outdoor, decoration, engineering, etc. Okay, and then here in red we have beware of hot hands, don't touch. At work, the lamp surface has a certain temperature rise, it's forbidden to touch the lamp directly. So that's the warnings on the Chinese 100 watter. Good waterproof performance, longer life, more energy saving. And as I say, this is the 50 watt version of this, which is the 100 watt version. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn them over, and as you see, they're pretty much identical. Chip layouts are slightly different, and this seems to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 little ICs as opposed. No, that's got 6 as well. So they've both got the same number of ICs. They've both got a fuse in the top corner there by the looks of it. They've been gooped on with waterproofing. These are all riveted down, so you can't actually change anything. So yeah, pretty much identical. What do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 2 rows, 24, 48 LEDs, 48, double 48, 84, 88 LEDs, 96 LEDs even, because I'm stupid. 96 LEDs in this one, 48 in this one. I did have a look at the board, and you can't see it very well sort of through the camera, but basically you've got they're set in 2 sets of 12s in parallel, so you've got 12 in series which are paralleled with the other set, so that then renders sort of the current demands on each of these slightly lower. Haven't yet worked out what the chips are doing, and in typical fashion there's no numbers on the chips. Which one shall I start with? Let's go with the 50 to start with. Now, the reason I've got these is because the lighting on my bench, as you can see, you've got a shadow here. Now, over that side of the bench, up in that corner, there's only a 10 watt LED floodlight. over that side, we've got the salvaged 50 watter that I pulled out of the skip and fixed. And above we have 6 LED strips running off 12 volts each on a power supply, and they're, you know, just sitting above the bench. You can hear them rattle, and you can probably, let's see, you can see them in the plastic, I believe. Yeah, you got 2 lots of strips there. Now, what I want to do is obviously put more light on the bench so that the videos are a better quality. So I thought, yeah, well, we'll give these a go. And initially, the first ones that have arrived are these mains ones. So what have we got here? Let's get rid of the plastic and put that to one side. We've got a piece of aluminium. You know, just a pressed bit of aluminium. That looks to be about a mil thick. Nothing stronger than that. It's quite a rigid form, covered in the protective plastic, which we have to take off according to the instructions. We have a mains lead coming through a grommet, and now in this case the bracket is screwed on and has a hole in the back, so you could mount this on something and then wing nut it back. But if I show you those wing nuts, this one isn't particularly straight, so the bracket doesn't quite fit it accurately. If I was going to make that completely straight, I'd have to bend the bracket, but then I probably wouldn't be able to get the wing nuts to sit flat. What I will do is, if I am going to mount these, I may take the wing nuts out completely. No, I can't, because these rivets would be in the way unless I wanted to drill out the rivets and then mount more rivets. Whatever. Against the aluminium plate, because everything on this bench sits against an aluminium plate, and in this case the camera is hanging from the same plate, which is 3mm aluminium, which is bolted to the metal frame. The riveting here is actually quite solid for the earth wire there. You know, do I like the fact that it's riveted on rather than a bolt? Well, if you've got a bolt, it can work loose. If it's riveted on, you've got to really work at getting it loose. They say this is waterproof. Well, there's a gap there, so I wouldn't say it was totally waterproof, not without sort of filling that gap in. But you've got this rubbery clear silicone coating, which isn't deep enough, because I can actually feel the surface of the LEDs proud of the rubber. So it's, you know, again, these ICs, although it's been dripped over the top, that bit of the IC is actually naked. And as I say, I can feel the LEDs. So there, the bridge rectifier is completely exposed. So as for waterproofing, I've got to say probably not. So there we are. We've had 10 minutes of looking at them, 10 minutes of waffling. What I'm going to do is I'm going to strip the plastic off. I'm going to connect this to a mains lead and come back to you. We'll plug it in. I'll bring in the meter, and we can see what voltage we're getting. Okay, so here we are back again, and as you see, I've used these wonderfully high-tech, super safe, spring-loaded terminal things, which leave just enough of the wire exposed for you to be sort of dangerous. But it did say that thank you, these came in the packet, and let's have a look. This is a souvenir, so yes, you get 4 of those as a souvenir from this seller, probably because I bought 2 different lights. Let's just focus you back in on the bench, not on the dodgy wiring. So what have we got? We've got the LEDs there. Now, rather than have them blast into the camera, I'm going to face them down for now, so that we can actually, you should see light spilling out the side with any luck if they work. And then if they do, then I can think about sort of doing some other tests and what have you. But this meter, I've taken the polarizing filter off so we can see what's going on. So UK mains currently sitting at 241 volts. Let's press fire. So yeah, we have a fair amount of light. As you can see, the camera has compensated and it's slowly scanning, which looks like the camera, now what's the camera set at? 125th of a second, so it is actually running quite fast. So it's not a constant flicker that you'll see. And I'm going to get my little cheap and nasty. I have not got the big Clive FLIR camera, so I'm going to use my cheap and nasty pile of crap one and see what this reads. So it's reading about 34, 35. It's not too bad, considering that the only thing it's got to dissipate 50 watts to is this piece of flat aluminium. Now that is actually quite warm to the touch. I'm gonna see if it's hotter at the sides. No. Bring it up, bring it up. So it's not actually reading that hot on this thing, but then this thing could be a piece of crap. It was only a fiver. So it's quite warm. The bracket is not warm at all, so there's no heat transfer coming through these bolts to this bracket, and as you see, it's throwing out a fair bit of light. So what I'm going to do, for a 50 watt lamp, it's drawing, and let's get this into shot, 46 watts. So we're not far off what it claims to be. So a 50 watt lamp it is, and it says it is, and it's doing that. Now if I just go over and fire the power factor up, it's showing a power factor of 0.89, which means that it's, you know, pretending to be fairly linear to the electricity company. Those that know about power factor will understand what these figures mean, and basically it's where in the waveform it, you know, how efficient it seems to be. So let's watts and 51 volt amps, so 51 VA, 48, 44 watts, 45 watts. And yeah, it is throwing out an incredible amount of light just off the side here. Now I'm going to pick this up and I'm going to put it over the bench without shorting out all this wiring and see how much better it will be. Now from that, all I can see is lots and lots more vertical shadows, so you couldn't just get away with one, but the bench has got exceedingly bright, and again, I know the camera is compensating for the extra light. It's saying, look, I'm going to protect myself here rather than not protect myself. So yeah, there we go, that's back to normal light with me taking it off the bench, and I'm just going to point it at the bench from the side, and as you can see, you're getting the horizontal scan, so it is actually switch mode of some description. It is actually sort of pulsing these LEDs, but yeah, I've got to say that's quite impressive for what it is. So there we go. Yeah, a very bright, nearly shorted it out to the blue line there. That's quite pronounced. I don't know whether you'll be seeing that scan line. So I don't know whether these are actually going to be any good for filming on the bench. Yeah, if I bring them high enough, the camera will probably have that rotten scan line across it. So they're not going to do what I want, which is a shame. But there we go. So I'm going to turn that off now, because I think we've had enough of exceptionally hot. Do not touch. It told me not to touch, didn't it? It told me not to touch, and what did I do? I went and touched it. Kids never learn, do they? So what have I done now? I've unwrapped the 100 watt one, and I can't read anything of the Chinese there, so you know, God knows. Very similar construction, and you've got the 6 ICs actually spread out from each other. You've got your bridge rectifier further in from the edge of the board, so I can see that the traces where the AC mains is going in, DC's coming out, going into a 501, does that say 501? So a 500 ohm resistor and a capacitor, another capacitor. I wonder if this is just a simple, no, it can't be a capacitive drop, and none of these are big enough, surely not. Just trying, no, because they're on the wrong side of the mains, aren't they? Unless there's something under here except for the fuse. Now there's a fuse under each of these bits of silicon goop, so you know, fair play. The waterproofing seems slightly better. They've earthed to the rivet here rather than onto the chassis, so they're actually using the earth as a support point, and the bracket is riveted in between the 2 panels onto the back. So again, if you're going to mount this will probably have more heat transfer. The trouble is they've riveted this on with plastic stuck in the middle, so I'm expecting to get a bit of a smell when I turn this on. But apart from that, you know, yeah, we've got a bit of loose goop. Is there a number underneath that one? Let me just have a look. No. But again, this chip, there is no waterproofing over this side of the IC, and you can see the puddles where the ICs aren't fully sort of encapsulated. So for them to say that these are waterproof it's just not true, I'll be honest. They should withstand, you know, a shower if you're working outside, but I wouldn't ever class them as waterproof. And you know, let's face it, you're dealing with mains electricity, so you know, unplug it before you touch it, that sort of thing, regardless of the fact that it's earthed. Unless you're like me, in which case you'll just shove your fingers in and burn your fingers because you didn't listen to the warning instructions. So let's turn this face down again. Let's plug this in again. I've already tested that it is earthed, so I'm not worried about, you know, that causing me a problem. So there we go, we've got both sets on, 242.9, and that's actually drawing 116 watts, so it's more than what they've said it is. And again, as you can see, we do have the AC cycling. Those of you old enough to remember horizontal hold on valve televisions, yep, here we go. Oh, that was a bit of a glitch, wasn't it? So, you know, it is cycling through. Again, it's a very bright light. You know, that is intense. That is really intense, and the camera is struggling there. But you know, it is a very, very, very good light, and you know, if I was working somewhere and I had to point that at, you know, something that I was working on, you know, whether it be a wall or a truck or whatever I was doing, even outside fixing my car, as long as I didn't stick my fingers on the mains terminals, that would really light things up. Now I'm just turning it so that you can just see the LEDs themselves there, and as you see, the camera is complaining severely. I'm also going to say that this is getting a lot hotter, because you've got not a lot more aluminium, but for double the dissipation. So you wouldn't want this one somewhere where you're likely to touch it because of the heat. So up high it would be great. You know, in the apex of the loft it would work very well as a very bright light, I suppose. And in this case the bracket itself is getting hot. The power consumption has now dropped down from its initial switch on to 102 watts, 101. So it is actually throttling back as it gets hot. So I would imagine those ICs are temperature sensing. As you see, it is throttling back the current or the output quite quickly now. 31, still climbing. As you see, that the temperature is still climbing, and it's being throttled back. It's now down to 86 watts from that initial 116. So yeah, what am I going to say about the 100-watt version? Yeah, the light output, you know, in theory it's double the light output because we've got two boards with double the number of LEDs, as opposed to the 50-watt one, which has got one board with 24 LEDs on it, or 48 LEDs on it, as opposed to 96 LEDs here. But in very short time, this has dropped itself down to 78 watts, whereas the other one we had on for this sort of length of time, and it stayed sort of fairly rigid at 50 watts. So let's just go to power factor. Again, 0.88, you know, power factor's the same. I would imagine the chips are identical. Hopefully that will focus. There we go. So the 50-watt one came in at £7.18, and the 100-watt one came in at £8.87. So for, you know, for less than a tenner each, and don't forget that is free shipping. Yeah, they work. Yeah, they're very good. I'm just gonna ouch. Yeah, the bracket is, you know, as hot as the lamps. I think I'm going to have to turn that off before the aluminium melts the cutting mat. So yeah, what can I say? It's a nice lamp, but if I was going to be honest, I would say the 50-watt one is the better value for money. And neither of them are any good for filming. So there we go, a quick review of the AliExpress LED iodine tungsten lamp. Thanks very much for watching, and sorry this has been long and waffly, but testing two large lights takes time. See you again soon, and hopefully we'll catch you in the next video. Bye for now.